Quiet on the set, please.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
And action!
Welcome to From Beneath the Hollywood Sign. If you love old movies, Hollywood history, or the golden age of filmmaking, you've come to the right place. This is the podcast that talks about amazing stories of Tinseltown from another era. Hear fascinating conversations with writer-producer Steve Cubine, who quite literally lives just beneath the Hollywood sign, and actress-writer Nan McNamara. Now your hosts, Steve and Nan.
Welcome, everyone, to From Beneath the Hollywood Sign podcast. Steve, today's episode, it kind of reminds me of my very first acting role on stage.
What was it?
Which I don't think I've ever told you
No.
about. So it was a play in my third grade. It wasn't actually on a stage. It was in the classroom at St. Andrew's Catholic Grade School.
Well, got to start somewhere.
Right. So I was 8, maybe 9, and I was cast as the boy who carries the turkey on and gives it to Scrooge at the end of A Christmas Carol. So this is the point where, the ghosts have come and gone. Scrooge is now transformed. And I had one line that was directed at Scrooge. And I had to say, "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." I think that's 2 lines, actually, right? Yes, sir. Thank
That's
you,
right.
sir.
You had 2 lines, see?
So suffice to say, I think I'm the only one that remembers that performance. Nobody can say that about today's actors and performances that we're going to be talking about, right?
No, not at all. That's so true, Nan. The actors we're going to talk about, they're not on screen for very long, but their performances are so memorable. Today's episode is all about performances with screen time of 10 minutes or less. Specifically, we're going to be talking about a book by our good friend JOHN DILEO, who's here with us today, entitled There Are No Small Parts: 100 Outstanding Film Performances with Screen Time of 10 Minutes or Less.
John is the author of 8 books, including not even nominated 40 overlooked co-stars of Oscar-winning performances, which we got to chat about in episode 63 of the podcast. In addition to his prolific writing career, John has been an annual participant in the Black Bear Film Festival in Milford, Pennsylvania, conducting onstage interviews with so many amazing people like Farley Granger, Eileen Dahl, Marge Champion, Keir DeLay, Jane Powell, Rex Reed, Tab Hunter, Lorna Luft, and Jane Alexander. John was born in Brooklyn, raised on Long Island, graduated from Ithaca College with a BFA. He currently resides in Milford, Pennsylvania, where he can be found almost every Sunday afternoon, introducing classic movies on the big screen at the historic Milford Theater, which someday I want to go.
I know,
and be
me
there
too.
For your Sunday afternoon.
I'd love to have you there.
Yeah, so welcome back, John. So great to have you.
Thank you. We're saying I'm back by popular demand, right?
Yes,
You are
we,
totally
we,
back by popular
we agreed
demand.
on that privately.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes,
As
yay.
we said before we started, you're our first repeat guest.
Yeah,
so
I
that
love
says a lot right there.
I love that.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, John, you're here in LA for an appearance at Cinecon where you've been asked to introduce a film. Tell us about that. What film are you introducing? How's it been?
It's been wonderful. It's nice to branch out. I did an event at the Film Forum in New York last November with Robert Mitchum's granddaughter.
Oh.
And now to be here in LA to do something, on stage. And I got to know the guy who runs it, Stan Taffel, wonderful guy, passionate movie lover. And he said, if you come back next year, I'd love to have you. I said, I'd love to come back, which is why I'm sitting here with you. I'm back and I'm introducing a real rarity. It's Monday. It's all rare, really rare movies.
Right.
Okay.
And this one is called Sharpshooters from 1938 with Brian Donlevy.
We love him around here.
Newsreel cameraman. And I'm excited to be a part of it. Anne Margaret's going to be there. Not at my event.
Well, you don't know. She might.
She might just pop in.
I'm going to bet not. But also Juliette Mills and Mamie Van Doren. So
wow.
it's a mix of celebrity stuff and real all-out cinephile people who want to see anything that hasn't been seen.
You just can't stop Mamie Van Doren.
I guess not.
She just keeps going.
Yeah,
I guess
good
that's
for her.
true.
And it looks like $1 million. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. So tell us, John, what was the inspiration for There Are No Small Parts for this book?
With any of the books that I've done, there are always these ideas that are lurking in the back of my head where you'll see something and say, gosh, his performance in this is so amazing. And it's only, isn't that remarkable? It's only 7 minutes.
Right.
And wonder how long another performance is that also has touched me in the same way. And you think, every movie has these performances. Every single movie has performances that are less than 10 minutes long. And then it's just about finding the ones that you love, spanning the decades. Because, like I said, when you looked at the sort of an outline of what I could put in the book, it was endless because there were no guardrails on this. So the Oscars book was very specific about, someone in the movie had to have won and someone else in the movie wasn't nominated. So it's very finite.
Right. Yes.
And this was all over the place. So it was a very different animal to tame.
Yeah. I would imagine.
My question is, how did you determine that they were less than 10 minutes? Like, I had this vision of you in front of a TV with a stopwatch.
Well, you must have been there because that's what was happening.
Wow.
So did you time?
I timed to the second.
Wow, good for
and
you.
I will confess, there were a couple that I did include that probably went a few seconds over, but then I decided I would subtract every time the camera cut away from their face, even though they were still in the scene.
I think that's legit.
I think that's fair.
I think you
so
say
there
that
were
you're forward.
like
which is
Joan
great.
Greenwood and Tom Jones. I had to, it went away from her. It's back to her. Because I really wanted her in the book. So there were a couple like that, but generally they were well under 10.
Yeah.
And sometimes remarkably so, where some of the ones we're going to talk about, you're like, it can't be. No, she's definitely in it more than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
No, it's not possible.
Yeah.
But
because they're so memorable.
you can make a lot of impact in a 30-second scene and then come back 10 minutes later and have a 45-second scene. And the illusion of being a significant part, because you are a significant part, just not in time.
Yeah.
We mentioned that we had done an episode about Mary Beth Hughes recently. I think she is the perfect example of what you're talking about. In the Oxbow incident, she's in one scene and she barely has any lines. But what's going on between her and Henry Fonda is so intense, and like the sadness of loss and where their relationship could have gone, but it's not. It's so beautiful. That's the power of what you can do with such little screen time. And I love that you've actually capitalized on this.
Yeah, and some of them, like you said, there's just one scene.
Yeah.
The person has one scene. It's really just this one little thing. But some of these, they come in and out all the way through, and it was a little harder to figure out the screen time.
Sure.
So they're not all of a piece. It's not all one scene roles. It's more about the time factor.
Yeah. Well, I know it's hard to pick favorites, and you have 100 of them. And we chose our favorites, and we'll chat about those.
Right.
Do you have personal favorites when you first started writing the book where you thought these three people or
They're for sure in,
Well, I can give you the one that when I've been asked that question, which performance was the inspiration for the book?
Yeah.
And that's kind of easy, and it's Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, John Ray.
Yes.
Who plays he doesn't even have a name.
Yeah.
He's Farmer is his billing.
Yes.
And he's in it for something like 4 minutes. Yeah. But he's in it a little more than one scene, but basically it's the one scene. And what I love about it is that up to that point, it's this delightful fish out of water comedy of the hick who's actually smarter than everybody else, but who's being taken in by all the city slickers. And then John Ray bursts into the mansion, and suddenly it's a scary drama of a guy with a gun who's saying, "Excuse me, there's a depression going on outside, and what are you doing?"
Right.
And after he pulls the gun and has the big scene, he breaks down in tears, apologizes, take me away, and Gary Cooper gives him dinner. And he has that beautiful moment when he's eating like crazy and stops and says, "Can I take some of this home for my family?"
I know, it kills me.
And you think, okay, he wasn't a name actor. He doesn't have a name in the movie.
Right. But
He's
what an
been in it for
impact.
4 minutes, and it's a different movie after his scene, because then he decides to give all the money away.
Yeah, the tonal change.
And it's that guy.
He inspires.
He pivots. The whole movie pivots based on that. So that was, I think, more than anyone, the inspiration for it. And again, to write about someone the way you talk about some people, like we've talked about, like Mark Stevens or Virginia Gray, who talks about John Ray? And I thought, he's going to get a whole chapter in my book.
I love it.
Which is such a wonderful thing to be able to do, to draw people's attention to, and it's one of our missions with this podcast.
Yeah, we really do love to introduce people to maybe performers that don't get their due.
Of course.
You know?
To that end, perfect segue. Let's dive into some of the ones that we went, oh my gosh, this is an amazing performance. Steve, you want to start first?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it is a gorgeous, beautiful book, and it's so much fun. I really devoured it in 2 days, but I was so touched and so happy that you included my Marcia Hunt in Blossoms in the Dust, 1941, because I think that performance is so beautiful and subtle, and you describe her so well in your book. I think you say fresh and warm and intelligent, natural. Those are all the qualities that she brings to this performance that's so heartbreaking. Why Marcia? What made you decide to pick her? I'm so glad you did.
I love Marcia Hunt, and there's so much to say about her in the sense that she's there at MGM, and you could just go through the mill of that, but they give her character parts, and instead of sort of always wanting to be pretty and perfect and like a movie star, she delves into those parts. Like in Pride and Prejudice, I'm the goofy sister, watch me. I'm going for it. And so she never seemed interested in what she could have been was like the next Myrna Loy at
She
MGM.
could have easily been,
But for what, I mean, a myriad of reasons, I'm sure.
And she told me that she actually went to them and said, I want character roles. I don't want to play the ingenue. I want a meaty, messy role. Give it to me. Yeah.
And we see it now as we look back 80 plus years. And what I love in Blossoms in the Dust, like John Ray and Mr. Deeds, it's a different movie after her big scene.
Yes.
And it inspires the main character's whole life.
Yes.
So you never forget Marcia Hunt, even though her 10 minutes is early in the movie. And what's so beautiful about her performance is, not to give anything too much away, but there's a scene where she realizes her whole life, her whole future is over. Everything she's ever thought she was going to have, she's not going to have any of it. And the way she acts that scene isn't with intense emotion or scream. You just watch the life drain out of her eyes and her face, where you see she's seeing none of that is going to happen for me. And there's no way out of this. And it's so beautiful.
A foundling with an unknown father. Apparently that was a big deal back then. To these society families.
Right.
So it was always, like I said, with a lot of people, it's just wonderful that there was an example in her case so that she could be in the book, because I love her. So,
I love her so much.
Well, along the same lines of a part that starts the movie and kind of propels it forward, let's talk about Granville Bates in My Favorite Wife, 1940. I rewatched his scenes yesterday, and as you say in your book, his scene with Cary Grant at the top of the film truly sets the tone for it. He holds his own with him, and I mean, it could have easily been a cliche. We've seen judges in all of these movies, and they can be the pompous judge, but he finds such nuance. He's so befuddled. He sighs. He has asides to his clerk. He snaps at Grant. It is a comic ride. He's brilliant.
He is amazing.
Talk to us about him.
And I guess it's that he's the judge, but he's the person in the room who knows the least about what's going on. So it's like, it's a funny setup.
Totally.
And instead of approaching it like, okay, I don't really understand, explain more about the case, he becomes more and more irritable.
Yes, I know that. I know that.
But he's so defensive. Because he's so insecure, and it comes out in maybe would say the wrong way, but the funny way.
Yes.
And that you're just watching him. We're all following it. You're like, you're never going to catch up.
Yeah.
And he died shortly after that came out. And I have to say, I think he
sad.
was one of those people. I remembered him in it, and I thought, what is his name? And I thought, I know who he is now because I wrote about him. But if you'd asked me maybe even 10 years ago, oh God, that wonderful guy who plays the judge.
Yes.
No idea.
I think too, just looking at it from an actor's point of view, he finds so much in that small role that in somebody else's hands, it would not have been funny.
Right, you're right.
Or as memorable. So,
It's almost like a vaudeville turn. Like there's so much.
There's so much happening.
Every second has a reaction, a beat. There's.
And it's so hard to do that.
I bet.
It's not easy.
Especially in a movie where your timing, it's not like, let's just run the whole thing.
Right. And you're standing in front of, you're sitting in front of Cary Grant. So, there's that. Who was Cary Grant in that movie.
Exactly. The next one that I was so happy you included, and I just love this actress so much, and she could have been in your book for a number of performances, but I love that you chose Gladys George the hard way, 1943. She plays Lily Emery, who's sort of the the once grande dame who's seen better days. She's sort of a device that Ida Lupino manipulates to help boost the career of her sister, played by Joan Leslie. But I think her scenes are consecutive.
She's got
and it's
one
almost like a little
chunk.
mini movie
It
of
is.
what happens to this character.
Yeah.
Can you talk about Gladys George?
Yeah, I believe it's 7.5 minutes in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
As you said, Ida, the big sister. It's basically Gypsy with sisters instead of mother and daughter. And Ida is pushing Joan, and Joan kind of lets her do whatever she wants. It's all being engineered by Ida Lupino.
Oh, totally.
And she wants that part that Gladys George is playing in this show. And it's really heartbreaking because, like you said, it steps from the pavement, basically.
And probably dealing with some alcoholism.
She's alcohol, and they've given her a song that is so inappropriate.
So inappropriate.
She's smoking and boozing, and she's singing about my first love in spring, and it's already almost intentionally embarrassing for her.
The dewy
They're building the set while she's rehearsing. The stage manager is snarky, and in 7.5 minutes, it's such a harrowing portrait of the dark side of show business because she had her moment. She talks about the stage door Johnnies and the whatever, all this glory of maybe 10 years ago.
The moment when she's trying to find that clip that she was given a great review at one point in her life, and she's trying to find it, it breaks my heart.
Well, Steve, is that taking a clip out of your purse is shorthand for this career is over? It's like Constance Collier and Stage Door. If you're walking around with your clippings, it's long over.
Yeah,
it's not good
Don't
for
do
you.
that. Don't do that.
You're not coming back after that.
Yeah.
But the defensiveness that she has, rightly so, all from the insecurity and the humiliation, and she just breaks our heart. First of all, she's also really funny, so we love
funny.
Gladys George. We don't want bad things to happen to her.
I love when Ida's trying to manipulate her. She says it's like a race. They get a racehorse to pull a plow.
Yeah. So it doesn't end well. They go back to the rehearsal after Ida's gotten her drunk, and she ends up running off into the
Spiraling
wings,
out of control.
and you feel like she's like walking off a cliff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's over.
You'll never see that
But
woman ever again.
If it were a little longer, she probably would have been nominated for an Oscar. It's a magnificent performance. And I like that movie, but the best part of that movie is her little movie in the movie.
It is. It is like a movie within the movie.
Yeah, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's great.
Next on my list of favorites from your book, and let me say, as a side note, so hard to pick because there were so many performances, and just because of time, we had to cut it down. So let's talk about Mary Wicks in Now Voyager, 1942. She plays Dora, who's the nurse to Betty Davis's mother, played by the great Gladys Cooper. On screen for just 3 minutes. When I read that in your book, I thought, no, that's not right, because she's again so memorable.
Such a presence. Yes,
exactly.
And you describe her so perfectly as the wisecracking, fast-talking Mary Wicks we know and love. And isn't that really true in most of her performances?
Yes.
She has that wonderful scene in White Christmas. I mean, but she's also in this, and you point this out, she's also this kind and thoughtful and real champion of Betty Davis's character.
Right. Now Voyager is one of my favorite movies. That's if it's on, I don't care where I am, I'm stopping and watching it to the end. And my favorite part of Now Voyager is that section when she comes home for the first time after the transformation, after the cruise, after falling in love.
Yes.
And we're all terrified because she's going to see Gladys Cooper for the first time. And what happens immediately is being greeted by Dora, Mary Wicks, and you can breathe a sigh of relief because she has an ally in the house.
Yes.
Someone
and you know
who
it
knows
immediately.
exactly who Gladys Cooper is.
Oh, yeah.
I've got your back. By the time they get to the top of the stairs, they're best friends.
Yes.
And it's that, like I said, she's funny, she's sarcastic, but warm and smart. And it feels like she's in it longer than 3 minutes because we know she's there if we need her.
Well, and you point out in the book that she really, in that short amount of time, we see that they're friends. The rapport between them is just so clear. And some of my favorite lines from that movie, when she says, Dora, I suspect you're a treasure. It's just like
I know.
perfection.
And they hardly know each other, and yet she's absolutely right.
She is. is, yeah.
And then the other thing we love about Mary Wicks in that movie is the way she treats Gladys Cooper. 'Cause
Oh,
she's the
yes.
only person who's not afraid of her ever.
Does not suffer
When,
fools.
when
Yes.
she
her,
says,
yeah.
when she comes in, she, what next, Queen Elizabeth?
I love that line.
It's like no one else would dare
No.
say that.
Yeah.
And Gladys Cooper knows she's a good nurse, so she takes it.
Yep.
She lets her say it. She goes, I want Dora. Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I love it. It's sort of the same vibe. Thelma Ritter comes a little later, but it's that same thing. As soon as you see her, like, oh, thank God she's
We're in
here.
good hands here. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're gonna,
we don't
we're
have
gonna
to
love
worry.
her. She's not going to hurt anybody.
Right.
She's going to be there. She's a good friend, and she'll make us laugh.
Yes. I think before we dive into any more of our favorites, why don't you share with our listeners this week's Hollywood pop quiz, Steve?
Well, our pop quiz question this week is in honor of John, and it is, according to ScreenRant.com, what are the top 5 shortest performances to ever win an Oscar? Top 5.
Top 5.
I think we
Okay.
all know the number 1.
Yep. All right.
All right.
We'll be back with the answer to that and more with John DiLeo and his book after this.
You guessed it, Steve and Ann will be right back with their very special guest, John DiLeo. But first, another stop on the Hollywood tour. Hattie McDaniel is best known for the role of Mammy, the house servant in 1939's Gone with the Wind. She, of course, won an Oscar for that work, the first black actor to do so. Well, one of the performances highlighted in John's book, There Are No Small Parts, is that of the 1942 film In This Our Life. McDaniel portrays a woman named Minerva Clay. Now, the film was directed by John Huston, but Huston was called away for an assignment with the War Department after the attack on Pearl Harbor. So a director named Raoul Walsh actually finished directing that film. Now, there were a lot of very talented actors in that cast of In This Our Life. Yeah, not only Oscar winner Hattie McDaniel, but get this, 4 other Oscar winners: Bette Davis, Olivia de Havilland, Charles Coburn, and Walter Houston, who makes a cameo in that film, and just for good measure, even an Oscar nominee, Billy Burke. That's a lot of Oscar talent in just one film, huh? And now back to Steve and Nan and their special guest, John DiLeo, from Beneath the Hollywood Sign.
Welcome back, everybody. Before we dive into more from John DiLeo's wonderful book, There Are No Small Parts, we wanted to give a shout out to this week's Listener of the Week, and that would be Annette Catrino from Sassoon City, California. Annette, thank you so much for your emails, for your support, and for listening. We so appreciate it.
Thanks, Annette.
All right, Steve, you're up.
All right, well, getting back to it, John, another choice you made for your book that I absolutely love is Canada Lee, Body and Soul, 1947. And he plays a champion boxer named Ben Chaplin. And to me, he's such the moral compass of the entire movie. And he's also this cautionary tale about what John Garfield's character could possibly enter into if he continues the life of boxing. It's such an emotional and intelligent and compelling performance. And you mentioned this in your book, and I think it was so smart, is he doesn't play a butler. He doesn't play a porter. It's such a non-stereotypical role that could have been played by any race that it's nice to think that maybe in this instance that the right actor just got the part.
In fact, it's hard to think of another example of that in Hollywood movies of the 30s, 40s, and 50s,
Right.
where it could have been anybody,
Yeah.
and they cast an African American.
Yeah.
They cast Canada Lee because there's nothing about that in the movie.
Right.
He'd been in Lifeboat, but that also was a component.
It was he was a
Yes.
porter, yeah.
he, and he's incredible. And not only casting him in the part, it's just also the lovely friendship that he has with John Garfield. They
Yeah.
become really close
They
friends
really become
in a way
friends.
that's unusual
And
for that
you
time,
didn't see
too,
that in,
between
I was going to say,
races.
you didn't see that in 1947.
They
you
have
know.
that lovely conversation sitting outside the ring as friends.
Yeah.
They've shared this life. And then, of course, he has his really big scene that is so incredibly moving.
yeah.
So beautiful. And it's also that sad coda to the whole thing is that they were both hounded by the House Un-American Activities
Yeah.
Committee, and they both died of heart attacks within 2 weeks of each other in 1952.
Which is just shocking.
And so
chilling.
that, if you know that and you're watching them together, it adds another an element, another layer of poignancy to the whole picture.
Really does.
Yeah.
And I think his performance was such a milestone for black actors. I think
so.
it's one of the first times that people of color saw themselves in a role that wasn't a maid or a servant or things like that. So that's why I love this performance so much.
Yeah.
To really get to show you can act, not just be a funny
Play the
bit.
trope. Yeah.
And I love that
So
his
rarely.
mentor was Orson Welles.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Orson knew talent.
Yeah. So, again, happy to write about somebody that you feel like, do people remember who Canada Lee was?
Yeah.
We always go as far back maybe as Sidney Poitier as the big groundbreaker, and he certainly was, no question. But before Sidney, there was Canada Lee.
Yeah.
And his final performance, Cry the Beloved Country, again, it's a bigger role. It's like, give him a lead. He's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, someone that as a child I remember watching this next film, and he just stood out in my mind, but I didn't know his name either. And he's somebody who everybody will know who we're talking about, but now you're going to know his name. It's H.B. Warner from It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, who plays Mr. Gower. What a journey that character takes.
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, it is a haunting performance. And as you point out in the book, he gets to he really gets to play two pieces of himself in a way and come back again fully in each of them. Talk about that.
Well, he's another one. He's only in it for 3.5 minutes, and you think the movie's a little over 2 hours, and everyone knows Mr. Gower.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he has some of the darkest scenes in the movie.
They're chilling.
Yes.
The first really dark thing that happens in the flashback when George is a kid is basically when Mr. Gower assaults him.
Yes.
First of all, before that, the grief on Warner's face at the death of the news that his son has died, that is one of the most harrowing portraits of grief, where you just want to step 10 feet back because it's so frightening.
Yeah.
And then to take it out on a child, find out that the thing you're so mad about, the kid actually saved your life. We all know the plot.
Right. Yeah.
To explain
No
what
surprise
happened.
there.
Yeah. Spoiler. The other thing is when Clarence comes and the fantasy, whatever you want to call that sequence, begins.
Yes.
The first really dark thing that happens is the arrival of Mr. Gower in the bar.
Yes.
And what chills me every time, he looks homeless, he looks horrible, he's a mess. But when the seltzer bottle gets sprayed on him and people are laughing, he joins in the laughter.
Yes.
I know.
Which is the saddest choice you could make.
It truly is. It really kind of makes me sick.
Because you know he's only doing that in hopes that it will get him some booze.
Yeah.
It just feels like the most pathetic thing that he could have done.
Yeah.
And H.B. Warner was English.
Yeah.
And he's in so many American movies, he's in so many Capra movies.
And he was a leading man back in
Yes.
the
We talked
teens
about
and
him
20s.
in our...
He was the first person to play Jesus on film.
Yes, I was just going to say, we were talking
what,
about
with
him in
the
the
King of Kings, 27,
Chinese theater premiere of the Chinese theater. Yeah.
So, again, 3.5 minutes. Absolutely unforgettable. And, there's so many movies in the book that there are multiple people in the book who are in it for less than 10 minutes. And sometimes we're narrowing it down to who was the one.
Oh.
I think in this case I could have done Gloria Graham.
Oh,
or
you
something,
could have done Lillian Randolph. You could have done, there's so many.
Ellen Corby.
Ellen Corby,
1750 or whatever.
Or Mary Treen, or so many.
But I think in that case it was like, it's got to be H.B.
It has to
Warner.
be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. My next performer I wanted to talk about, it's Marion Lorne, who plays Mrs. Antony in Strangers on a Train, 1951, which of course was by Alfred Hitchcock. And to me, much like, and we mentioned this on the show one time, we were talking about Natalie Schafer. And Natalie Schafer played that same character in every single movie she was ever in. And that's why we loved her.
Right.
Yeah.
Marion Lorne, to me, does the
Same
exact
thing.
same thing. It's the same character, but I don't care.
Because nobody else does that.
Nobody does it.
They come up with their
true.
own thing.
It's this comical,
Yes.
befuddled, stammering, hilarious, wonderful, daffy woman.
Yes.
And nobody did it better.
Yes.
And when you sort of put this against the darkness of the theme of this movie, thank God she was in it, because she gives you the one glimmer of a smile. What about her? What made you include Marion Lorne?
Well,
I love that you did.
I agree with you totally about these eccentric comedians.
Yes.
And Estelle Winwood would be
Oh,
another
always,
one. Or,
yeah.
that you're hoping they're going to do what they did last time. You don't want them to show you that they're versatile.
It's
'Cause,
like
I said, you're the only one that does this.
Cuddles Sakal. I just want him to be Cuddles. Yeah.
And they're cast for that purpose, right?
But you're right. In this case, it's a little scary because
Yes,
she's doing
it
her
is.
thing. but she's, mothering a sociopath murderer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And her inability to see beyond, oh, my darling little, boy.
Well, the scene when Ruth Roman comes in and just
Yes.
lays it out for her,
Yes.
and she's just like, well, did he tell you that?
Yeah, right.
Well, then it couldn't be.
She's
couldn't be my
impenetrable.
little
No,
boy.
you can't get it. No, she's...
And there's such a weird codependency with her and
her artwork. Remember her
Yes.
scary picture?
Oh my God.
So yeah, I think taking that delightful, eccentric comic bent and putting it in this really dark murder story, and her inability to realize, it's not like she has a moment, like you said, Ruth Roman doesn't get to her where she transitions.
Yes.
Oh, maybe
Yes.
Capable of transition.
maybe my son's psychotic.
And that's exactly who she was on Bewitched, is that Clara.
totally,
No
Aunt Clara.
different. Or, yeah, so like I said, there are certain people that you just, like, please keep doing that. Because when you
Always.
go, it's over.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, this is another person of that ilk, I think. I mean, who isn't just a little bit afraid of Gladys Cooper?
Yes,
Right?
No one's
always.
fair.
And in The Bishop's Wife, 1947, she is just, as you say, you describe her as the modern day Scrooge. I mean,
Yeah.
she really is also kind of the female version of Barrymore in It's a Wonderful,
It's a Wonderful Life.
But she gets to have that wonderful transition. So
Yeah.
talk about her.
Well, unlike Marion Lorne.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly. Who just lives
She's
in her little
redeemed.
batty world and she's happy.
She's redeemed.
Well, the casting is so dead on. I mean,
Yeah.
this is after now Voyager, after the Song of Bernadette. Most
Yep.
people in America are terrified at the sight of her, and now she's playing the scariest woman in this place, wielding her money and power and loving the fact that everyone's terrified of her. That's her
Right.
thing. Of course, Cary Grant is the angel in The Bishop's Wife, and he knows her past, reawakens her love for the guy who she rejected because he
Yes.
was poor, married the rich guy, but he wrote that beautiful piece of music that Cary Grant plays on the harp.
He gets to play the harp.
Yes.
I love that.
So she gets that gorgeous transition to like, oh my God, there's someone else underneath
Yes.
all
The
that.
young girl comes
and she's
out.
still really there, but it's been so barricaded
Yes.
for decades.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then not only we love her opening up to Cary Grant and, like I said, turning young before our eyes.
Yes.
But then when Loretta Young and David Niven come in, she welcomes them like,
Old
darling.
friends, yes.
Yes. Call me by my first name.
yes.
Yes.
Clutching
Agnes.
her by the arm,
Yeah.
and it's so beautiful because we love transitions.
Yes.
We love seeing someone bad turn good. And,
Yeah.
and who was
Yeah.
scarier. Like she said, she was the perfect candidate.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love her in something like The Pirate where she's funny.
Yeah.
But you
Yes.
don't go there first.
No.
You go to Song of Bernadette
Yeah.
and now Voyager, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my last one, and this was one, it's one of my favorite movies. Probably top 10 favorite movies of all time. And I chose Eileen Brennan, The Last Picture Show, 1971, where she plays the waitress Genevieve Morgan. She's such a straight shooter. She's got that lived in, seen it all, done it all.
I think she was born that way.
But you know what? I have a theory about this character. I think that she was, at one point, she was JC. She was once this flirty, beautiful girl in that small town, and she just didn't get out. And that's what happens when you don't get out. And there's a sadness to it, but, and you point this out in your book so beautifully, she's probably the only truly happy character who really has some semblance of happiness with
She
herself.
does. Yeah, she really does.
And I love how she's become the surrogate mother to all the kids in the town.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful performance. Tell me about that one.
Well, it's a little bit like we're talking about Mary Wicks in the sense, it is that likable, no nonsense. She's always going to be a straight shooter. If we're worried about Timothy Bottoms, we feel safer for him in her presence.
Yes.
That she's
Yes.
a mother figure. Maybe if she's in hovering, she's got her eye on him, which
Yes.
is why she's really suspicious of Sybil Shepherd and gives her a look that she turned to sand after that look. It is so intense.
Yes.
But I think my theory of why we weren't all talking, well, I was 10 when it came out, so of course I wasn't talking about all the performances in The Last Picture Show, but why she wasn't as much talked about as she should have been is that it's this amazing ensemble cast, and there are all these people with bigger roles ahead of her.
Yeah. Yes.
You've got Cloris Leachman and Ben Johnson and Ellen Burstyn, then you have the young people, Jeff Bridges, Sybil Shepherd, Timothy Bottoms. She's magnificent, but you had to be talking a lot about the movie before you got to her.
She gets a little overshadowed. Yeah, a little
Definitely
bit.
overshadowed. But also, she wasn't well known at the time.
Yeah.
But if you look at it now, she's as famous pretty much as everybody else in it who knows, people who know movies know Eileen Brennan.
Yeah.
And I think she's really as great as everybody else. Maybe doesn't have some of the bigger scenes or monologues that some of those characters have. And, you know, if I were voting for an Oscar, I mean, Cloris Leachman is,
unbelievable performance.
I mean, just doesn't have enough to do to compete with that. But in the world of under 10-minute performances, what she does is really terrific.
Yeah.
And, you know, in that movie, I'm going to give a little shout out to, is it Sharon Taggart who played Charlene, the slutty girlfriend? I don't know who she was, but she was great. You know,
she was there in Texas.
Yeah. I wonder if she was a local, because she seemed kind of local. I just think that's such a fresh little take on the little slutty high school girl. Anyway, there's so many great performances in that movie that you could have plucked out. Yeah.
Well, let's finish up our favorites with from American Gangster. Now, we're obviously out of the classic cinema era, but Ruby Dee, in that performance, 5 minutes on screen, I remember that she really was the odds-on favorite that year, as you mentioned in the book, to win. She would have been the oldest actress to win the Academy Award. She makes, again, this amazing transformation as this mother, poor, living in the South. Her son, Denzel Washington, becomes a drug lord and takes her out of that life and brings her into a beautiful mansion, but he gets his comeuppance from Mama. So let's talk about her performance.
Well, first about the Oscar, it's that sad situation of when someone who's been amazing for decades and has never gotten their due, and they nominate you for something that would be really hard to win for because it's so small.
It's so small.
Or whatever reason.
And you're up against Tilda Swinton, who...
exactly. So we've watched this scenario before. We watched Ann Sothern lose. We watched Gloria Stewart lose. We watched Lauren Bacall lose. Sylvia Sidney. And we thought it actually might have been nicer to have ignored them instead of letting them get dressed up and come and sit there.
But yet, Don Amici won. And I love Don Amici. I'm not taking anything away from him, but come on. Don Amici for Cocoon.
Yeah. They were still a little sentimental in the 80s. It completely wore off.
That went away. Nobody's sentimental
Nobody
anymore.
cares anymore. And she sort of like candidly managed in impossible times to get some good roles. There's that movie I love, The Tall Target. Mm-hmm. She's great in that, or Take a Giant Step. And there would have been so many more opportunities to see her at least get the recognitions, to still be alive for it.
Right.
And, you know, as short as her performance is, the nomination came for what is really a 90-second scene when she tells off her son.
Because the scenes before that are
scenes
nothing.
before that
They're just
are,
set up.
I don't care how the money's coming in. This is fine. I don't want to know.
Right.
But then when he decides he's going to kill a cop,
she's like in this Chanel suit.
And looking
it's just
great.
like she looks fabulous.
And then it's sort of like, no, you're about to cross a line that I will not let you cross.
Yeah.
And it is great. And you think if she had a couple of more scenes, it would have clinched the Oscar.
Well, it's so jarring when she strikes him.
Yeah.
I was like, that is a mama looking after a wayward son, you know?
And you think someone as formidable a presence as Denzel Washington, you have to believe that this person could silence him.
I was just going to say that.
Like, when she does the scene, you think, well, how many people could do that to him?
No one else.
Nope, just your mama.
I bet ever will or ever has before Ruby Dee.
You want to? It's one of those. Okay, let's just give her a standing ovation while the movie's running.
Exactly.
Well, there are so many more that we could talk about. Like,
you know, I actually made a list.
I did too.
Did you?
Yeah.
We made our own little list. If we were writing your book, John,
and not including anyone,
and not including anybody, we came up with our own little list.
Well, you go with that. I have other. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, you go.
So you want to start something?
And I want and in case you want to do a sequel, feel free to use these. And I would just love to get your take on these performances.
I would love to hear them.
All right. And I really thought about this. I thought, who are those performers that less than 10 minutes that you just can't stop thinking about them? First, Gail Sondergaard, The Letter.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I think it was probably less than 10 minutes, but boy, what a powerful. I'll just give you the list first, and then I'll have you just throw out your thoughts on it. I'm going to say Thomas Mitchell, Stagecoach. I'm going to say Barbara O'Neill, Gone with the Wind. I'm going to say Clara Blandick, Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say Henry Travers, Mrs. Miniver. I said Mary Beth Hughes, The Oxbow Incident. Donald Meek, State Fair.
The Pickles. Yeah.
The Pickles. And Ethel Griffey's The Birds.
Oh, yes.
The Weird Bird Lady.
That's a good one.
Those are just the ones that came
Yes.
to mind. So.
Now, have you taken out your stopwatch? Because then I'd have
Well,
to...
I don't. I kind of look, and some of these I can find confirmation that they're all under.
Okay.
A couple, it's iffy,
Yeah.
right at 10. So I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Those are the
yeah.
ones that came to
I
my
like
mind.
them.
Yeah.
Do you have some there?
No, I was just going to talk about 2 or 3 or more from your book that I
Yes.
wish we could talk about, like Una O'Connor from Witness for the Prosecution
Yes.
or Marlene Dietrich. I mean, there's just
So many.
Well, the one that I most often hear of, why didn't you include, is Peter Lorre in Casablanca.
Oh.
And I love Casablanca, and I love Peter Lorre.
Yeah.
And I watched the scene, but I just felt like I had nothing to say about it.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
he's doing his thing, which I love,
Yeah.
and
Which we just watched
I
last night, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like I'd rather write about something I felt like I had something to say about.
That's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, do I have something that you will think, oh, I like what you said when you said that, that kind of thing. And I couldn't for that one, but.
And I love that you chose from Best Years of Our Lives that you could have chosen so many. You chose Roman Bonin.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And I think his performance gets overshadowed by some flashier performances. But boy, those scenes with Dana Andrews, my God.
Yeah,
And
that's
he's in
a
it
great
for like
scene.
5 minutes,
If
3
that,
scenes,
yeah.
I think it is. And I'm glad you brought that up. When I was working on that scene, so you watch the scenes over and over again. You want to get the details right.
Yeah.
What is he holding? What is it? What's on the wall? Whatever. I must have watched the reading of the citation 20 times, and I cried every single time. And I thought, well, now I'm just gonna, that's over.
Yeah.
And then he'd start, and the tears would fall,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh my God, that is a great performance. But again, like Last Picture Show,
Yeah.
Too many other
there's
actors.
too many people ahead of you,
Yeah.
and nobody really knew his name, really.
And Gladys George.
She's
also,
great in that,
also
too.
great in that. You could have chosen her.
She's
great in
another,
that, too.
another great performance. So, John, any new books in the works that you can tell us about?
Yes, and then no. Yeah, I am a third of the way through a book that will come out in 2027.
Oh, that's thrilling.
And, so I have to turn it in July 1st, 2026.
Okay.
And I'm having a good time.
Good. And that's all you can say? All right. Well, I guess we'll have to make a date for 2027 and have you come back.
Have you come back and talk about it.
Well, the 8 books that you have out right now, how can our listeners get those and contact you?
Amazon.com, of course, is the easiest way to get stuff. You can find me on Instagram at john.dileo.12, and I'm on Facebook, and I have a website, johndileo.com, and an author page on Amazon where all the books are on the same page.
Great.
So I guess that
Great.
covers
Well,
it.
we loved the book. And as you said, Steve, it's a beautiful book. So we
thank you.
highly recommend it and check it out, our listeners. Steve, what is the answer to this week's Hollywood Pop Quiz?
Well, the question was, according to ScreenRant.com, what are the 5 shortest performances to ever win an Oscar? And we're going to go in 5th place.
Okay.
Number 5 was, surprisingly, our buddy Allison Janney for I, Tonya, 2017.
Wow, how many minutes?
She's on screen for 15 minutes and 37 seconds.
Okay, who knew?
Shocking.
Yeah.
Number 4, Anne Hathaway, Les Mis.
Okay.
2012. She was on for 15 minutes. Number 3, Alan Arkin, Little Miss Sunshine, 2006. He was on for 14 minutes.
Okay.
Number 2, Judi Dench, Shakespeare in Love, 1998. She was on screen for 8 minutes. And number 1, and I wanted to talk about her, but we ran out of time, was the great Beatrice Straight from Network. She's only on for 5 minutes and 40 seconds, and she nabbed that Oscar.
She nabbed it. Yes, she did.
She did.
And deservedly so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for spending this time with us. We would love it if you would give us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also watch the podcast on YouTube. And if you do that, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. You can find us on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. And our handle is @FromBeneathTheHollywoodSign.
And we love hearing from you. You can email us at info@FromBeneathTheHollywoodSign.com.
That's this week's view.
From Beneath the Hollywood Sign.
You've been listening to From Beneath the Hollywood Sign with Steve Cubine and Ann McNamara, the podcast that celebrates amazing stories of Tinseltown from its golden era. Join us next week for another episode and learn something else about Hollywood you probably never knew. Take a moment and give us a 5-star rating and a positive review, and tell your friends about us too. It'll help grow the podcast. Visit Steve's website at FromBeneathTheHollywoodSign.com. The executive producers are Steve Cubine and Nan McNamara. Executive producer and post-production supervisor Lindsay Schnebley. Associate producer and researcher John Price Ritchie. This podcast is part of the Airwave Media Podcast Network. Visit airwavemedia.com to listen and subscribe to their other fine shows like The Box of Oddities and The Shallow End with Schnebley and Toth. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved. That's a wrap.
Well, John, thank you so much for being here. We just love getting to chat with you. We're just like buzzing bees or something, right?
We love
We'll
having you
cut that
back.
No, we'll cut that out.
Oh, I like that. That'll be a Easter egg.
Oh, God. Okay.
The buzzy beezy bee.
What should I do?